What is up, everybody? We are back after a little 2-week hiatus. Hakkd and I hosting our next episode of the Suboptimal podcast, talking all things relating to Season 4 of Shadowlands that dropped 3 weeks ago, basically, at this point. Hakkd, how are you?
Not too bad.
It's good.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going. We've been cranking through normal raids, finished our achievement to get Mr. Jigglesworth Sr., one of the better mounts that they've done. Little disappointed.
Sick looking.
It is awesome. I am a little disappointed that the mount special is just the normal, like, cat mount panther special, but that's okay. It's still a sick mount, and I do wish it flew.
Wow, it doesn't fly at all.
It does not fly at all. That's weird, but you know, it's okay. It's still a dope mount, and
I haven't gotten it yet. I wasn't there.
Yeah,
for Sepulcher yet.
You were getting your teeth pulled, but he's back to full health now.
Yeah,
ish.
Not full health, but
good enough to do the show.
Good enough, yeah.
All right. Well, with that said, let's just jump into it. So now that I know you weren't there, but now that basically all 3 faded raids are available and we've gone through all of them, what are your thoughts?
It was a ton of fun going back through Nathria. So that raid is just a banger. The affixes are pretty dope. They add just a little bit to it, but they help you just nuke the fight down.
Yeah.
Which is, we all know the fights for the most part, so it's fun to just get in there and crank.
Yeah, I haven't really, like, I like the affixes, but I think I like them because you don't really have to think about them too much.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would want them to do any more with affix raid type stuff where it's...
I agree, because the only thing I like about them is that they help you kill the fight faster.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. I mean, playing them isn't interesting in any way, so...
Yeah. Yeah,
you could literally just nerf the fights by 10%.
I was going to say...
Achieve the same thing. It's not fun. I mean,
I don't know if
the
it's
raids
even...
are fun, but not because of the affix.
Right. I don't feel like I have to do anything except, like, oh, every once in a while I have to go stand in this portal to get CDR or click this moat, but then, like, no one really has to pay attention to it. It's not like you're not killing the fight if you don't kill the moats.
Right.
I do think they were tuned.
Like, the AoE thing is fun because it's like it changes the fights enough to where, like, you're never AoEing on that fight. Because I think the one that spawns ads, I think we got that on, like, Hungering Destroyer too. No, that was the shield one.
That's I think Sludge Fist had the Chaos Essence, the AoE moat one. But
it's the same thing though.
Yeah, pure single target
that fight.
Right.
Like, so I think that is the only affix that actually feels like it changes the fight and that you actually want to play it, because AoE is always fun.
Yeah, and then it was circles on Stone Legion and barrier on like Sun King. So
but that's what I mean. Like, those are whatever.
I do think the barrier one was pretty cool, just because, like on Sun King, it just, like, nuked the ads. Like, if the barrier came out when the ads came out, you, like, didn't even have to worry about the ads. I thought that was a kind of cool interaction. But other than that, yeah, I mean, it's cool. I'm more just, I really like the idea between them bringing back the old raids and making the gear relevant for, like, the final season before the new raid, or before the new expansion, rather.
Right. Yeah, I really like, just especially getting the first raid, because, I mean, hopefully we don't repeat this in the future to where it's like Castle Nathria was good, but the game wasn't good when Castle Nathria was current. So it's nice being able to go back and do it now that the game is good. Just like a pattern of the past couple expansions where
Yeah.
0.3 is always great, but 0.0, 0.1, the game is shit.
Yeah. Could you imagine like going back into like go to BFA with like all the corruption gear and going and doing like the old raids? It's like relevant content again, but with all your corruption gear. Like that would have been kind of fun.
Right. And actually, just to clarify, what I mean is like, regardless, there's always going to be something that can be iterated on in future patches of an expansion. So I think being able to go back to the first 2 tiers or something after iteration has already been done and the game is in a better spot, your specs are in a better spot, whatever.
Yeah.
To play it in that form is definitely going to be dope.
Yeah.
And I hope that they take that idea moving forward.
I think the season 4 of like experimentation that they're doing, I think for it only being basically 2 people who developed it, I think it's been really cool. And I'm glad that Blizzard kind of let them, it feels like they just kind of let them do whatever they want. It almost feels like Diablo 3 with like the small dev team. They're just like, fuck it, we're just going to try anything. And like, I think that's
Now's
cool.
the time to do it.
Yeah.
And I just love how communicative they were about it ahead of time too. Like,
yeah,
hey, we're just throwing shit at the wall. Like, this is nothing serious. So,
but I do think there are some ideas that they can take going forward. I mean,
definitely.
I like a lot the deterministic loot that they have given us. I don't know if the and the part that can be kind of adjusted would be like the frequency that you can pull a piece, because 3 weeks, 30 bosses, it does feel like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, or even just reward you for doing more of it. So like, if I do normal, heroic, and mythic week 1, there we go. Give it to me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I did the raid 3 fucking times.
Yeah.
So I think getting rid of the general like difficulty or boss lockout across all difficulties, just get rid of that, and I think that could be pretty good.
Yeah, but I do like a lot. I mean, I know you're talking about 3 raids worth of loot, so I understand, like, there's a lot of pieces you can miss out on, so like giving you the ability to pick a piece at relevant item levels, is almost necessary for you to try to get everything. But I think it's definitely an idea that they could carry forward. It almost feels like the old tokens or any of the other more deterministic like loot that they had, but it's just, whether they did something like this where you kill X amount of bosses over X amount of weeks and then you guarantee yourself a piece, or they go to like a shard system where, you get a piece and then you put together X amount of shards and you can pick that specific weapon. Or
honestly, if you think about it though, like, is 3 weeks too long of a time in like a fresh new raid?
Not in a fresh raid, absolutely. No,
yeah,
no.
because I was just thinking of that, and I mean, honestly, 3 weeks would be probably too early. I mean, not necessarily though. If you just have a system where every 3 weeks or something you're building up to,
I think in a brand new raid, if they kept it where like you had to clear all X amount of 10 bosses, say, then all 10 bosses all 3 weeks, I think that may hurt people in the long run, just because like, what if you're a guild that doesn't clear everything in 1 week?
Yeah, I think taking it a different way, either reduce it to where the people that are able to clear the raid are rewarded for doing better, so they get it earlier.
Yeah.
Which I guess you see a lot of community feedback all the time that's like not fair and shit, which I always disagree with. I think if you do more and you play better, you should get better shit.
I do like what Cheat said in chat, where like you'd have to kill the boss and then it would unlock those weapons. So then you could like hold your unlock for like, okay, I know my bis drops off the last boss. Well, we've killed enough bosses now because we haven't killed the last boss in 3 weeks, but now that we killed it, I have my piece saved up and I can go grab that piece if it didn't drop. Because I think it feels really bad. And it's kind of more of a general raid thought, but like, you know, you're in heroic, it takes you 3 or 4 weeks as a normal guild to kill the last boss. Well, now you've killed all the other shit 3 or 4 times, but you've only gotten one chance at the last boss. It's not like you haven't been spending a fuckload of time in the raid. So
Right.
I don't think it would
Well, and
hurt
I think
anything.
that that's better. Like, combine the two. Don't make it a quest. Make it like a shard system, like you're talking about, where you just get a shard on every raid boss kill, and say it's like you get 1 piece per boss, or like 1 shard per boss on normal, and 3 shards per boss on heroic, and then 5 shards per boss on mythic.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then like, so if you killed all of normal and you got the 1 per boss, and then you go kill it on heroic, you get 2
Right.
just to split the difference. Boom. You know, that way nobody's missing out as long as they're doing the content.
Yeah.
And then at 20 shards, you can turn those shards into a dinar, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then it's a matter of how you want to treat that going forward with, like, do we want to keep an upgrade system where if I buy it at normal, you know, that would get a little wonky because then you're talking about 2 per boss currencies.
Yeah. More currencies. I don't know if that's the answer.
Or maybe you just have the choice between turning shards into a piece to buy or keep saving them up as a resource, you know.
Yeah, like you could turn in
same
your
resource
old
due
weapon,
to-
your old weapon plus the dinar to get the next tier up or whatever.
Right.
You know, like I do like the
Yeah.
idea of upgrade items. Like you look at something like the jailer's mace, like, you know, okay, you kill jailer on normal, you don't get it. You run on LFR though, and you get it. Well, your LFR one is going to be good because it's just the jailer mace is so good. But like,
Right.
you're going to want to carry it with you. So like, if you're using it, I think it'd be cool if, you know, you put the time in and got the loot, but now I can upgrade it, right? I don't have to worry about getting another drop on a super rare item.
Right.
That's tough to get.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
But
they did introduce 3 currencies.
I do think that something like that would be really cool. Just like a shard system, you turn 20 of them into this other thing, you know, dinar or whatever, and you can use that to buy a piece. And then honestly, is it bad even if you're just doing normal over and over? Like, is it really that bad that you could just keep doing normal to get another dinar and then turn that normal piece into heroic, even though you're not doing heroic, because of the amount of time that it's taking you just to get all of those shards? Like,
Right.
does that even matter? You know, is that an okay system? I think just too many currencies doing that all the time gets a little wonky.
I don't think I would be opposed to that system. Maybe if like it's an increasing cost to do the upgrade or whatever.
Or that, yeah.
But I don't see why you couldn't do that. It'd be just like a slow drip of, you know, gear. It's not like, it's, you know, you do 15 mythic pluses and you get mythic level gear, even though 15s aren't very hard.
Say, it would also, for people that just enjoy Mythic Plus and they don't really want to raid, it kind of lessens the amount of time that they would have to raid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously the top end would still have to go into Mythic just because they want to get that shit quicker and they don't want to have to fuck with all that. But like, in our position where we're never going to step foot in heroic or in Mythic, but we still like, hey, Mythic Old Warrior Soul, right, is best in slot. Why can't a Mythic Pluser work towards that over the course of the season?
Right.
And then they find, like, it would be enough to where by time you get to it, it's like there's a month left in the season, so who fucking cares? Like,
yeah.
You know, it's going to be a major time investment, but why can't you work towards that?
Yeah, and I think we're on the same page with that. I'm not talking about like immediate rewards. I'm talking about like a long-term slow drip. Slow drip currency that, you know, if you're putting the time in and continually doing the content, you know, maybe over the course of a tier you get 2 pieces, 3 pieces, you know, not a lot. And if it's, you know, you pick your best piece and you just want to focus on upgrading that, all right, well, by the time the next raid is launching, like maybe you'll have enough to make the mythic version if you started in normal.
Exactly, because think of it too, like, you're already at a disadvantage trying to do that. If you're only rating normal and you're trying to get a piece up to mythic, you're only getting 1 shard per boss per week.
Right.
Whereas like if you were to be raiding Mythic, they're getting 5 shards per boss per week. So it's like it's taking you way fucking longer anyway
Mm-hmm.
to be able to do that. So I think that that's fair.
Yeah, I think
Like a fair way to treat the system.
I think it's just a good system that they've introduced, and they can definitely iterate off of it. And they've seemed more willing to try some of this stuff. And I think the other thing that they could do with it too is they could maybe get more creative with the loot pools or make them a little bit larger if you had deterministic loot.
I agree. Yeah.
And, you know, give you more reasons to continue to go back knowing like, okay, I'm going to guarantee myself a piece at some point. So it's not the end of the world if I don't get it this week. And just give everybody more incentives to be coming into the raids and continuing to raid week after week.
Yeah, I think that because I think honestly what raiding is missing is like a resource, right? Because Valor doesn't really do you any good as like a straight up raider. I think that it would be really cool to just introduce this as baseline and just simplify it a little bit, but also just, you know, make it across the board, make it make sense, right? So shard and dinar. You build up shards to make a dinar. Dinar buys you normal piece. You trade in the normal piece or heroic piece plus, you know, this much resource to upgrade it. And especially if they just introduce that at a baseline level and just let that carry forward, I think that would be a really cool system to just keep in the game for the raiding scene.
Oh yeah, and then like, you know,
forward.
Okay, you do a mythic pug just to try to get some pieces, and you happen to get the piece you're going for. Well, now you've got all these shards saved up, and now you can like pivot and get something else down your list a little bit more. And it just kind of like it smooths out that like gear acquisition curve, which I think is one of the major complaints with Mythic Plus players mostly, I think, but even some raiders that, you know, take forever to get a Jathis or take forever to get the Jailer's Mace, because it's just like you only get one shot at it really a week at the item level you want. And then if you don't get it, what are you going to do? Like you're fucked. So I'm really hoping that they're paying attention and more people like us and people who have a bunch more people watching them are talking about, you know, the positives of this currency system.
Yeah, and keep it unlocked too. Like, just keep it unlocked because it doesn't need to be just the 3 pieces. I think you just at some point you could find a happy medium to where it's like by time you even get enough currencies to make, you know, 4 pieces or whatever, the raid tier is going to be over. So
yeah,
you know, it doesn't have to be a lot. It just needs to be something to where you're like, okay, eventually I'm working towards this thing that I want. And I think something for Mythic Plus would be great as well. Some kind of vendor, something through the vault, maybe. Just if you take tokens, maybe it costs, you know, 6 tokens, like the tokens of merit, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe it costs 6 of them to buy a piece from the Mythic, like the current Mythic Plus pool.
How do you feel about
just that way? If you get 2 shitty vaults in a row, you can just buy the piece you want from Mythic Plus pool.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, if you add in the raid tokens, now you have your regular loot acquisition through drops. You've got your vault acquisition, which is semi-deterministic because you get to pick. And then you have this like 100% deterministic with the vault, that middle one, because it does feel really bad to get just like a garbage vault instead of, I mean, I'm in for being able after X amount of weeks to just pick a piece from the mythic pool. I think you probably see some pushback from the community, even though I don't really know why. But what about like instead of being able to have deterministic loot, like you got to set like your priority secondary stats? So like if you want mastery, like you have a higher chance of getting pieces that have mastery on it or haste or, you know, crit or whatever. It's not 100% guaranteed.
I feel like that's just a lot though. And like you would run into the thing like, is this even fucking working?
Yeah, right.
Is this even actually a thing?
Yeah, you set mastery.
Yeah. Oh, this system doesn't even work.
Yeah, set mastery, get no mastery pieces, or maybe you could
Yeah.
set a slot that's like your priority slot. Like, oh, okay, I really need a shoulder upgrade. So I'm going to, this week in my vault, I'm going to set shoulder as my highest priority. So Thunder likes that idea. I'm with you, Drew. One thing I like them to solve, but I don't think they will, is coupling of top tier raid loot to top tier Mythic Plus running.
That's kind of what I was hitting with the rating system anyway. Like, to where if you are just clearing normal or heroic, you're still building towards that. But like, I think you should still have to do it, but you shouldn't have to raid Mythic and put all that time into the content that you're not trying to do.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's still.
You could even tie like deterministic Mythic Plus loot just to Valor. Just leave it uncapped.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
There's no reason to have it capped. Like they just need to get away.
It can cost a lot. Like, you know how much Valor you end up spending just.
Yeah, make it like 8 or 10K or 20K or whatever for a piece.
Crazy to buy a piece, yeah.
Yeah.
It would feel bad buying a piece rather than upgrading. Like, you'd have to put in a lot of work to do that.
Yeah.
So.
But I think they've kind of said it in so many words that they're not trying to fight the top end anymore, because the top end's always going to do degenerate shit.
Exactly, and that's why I think now is the time to start thinking about shit like that.
Like, what does it matter if the top end can clear, heroic on splits a million times and start buying a few pieces extra, like ahead of the rate? It doesn't affect the like general populace. So it's the same thing with Mythic Plus. Like, if you just don't leave you leave Valor uncapped, like, who gives a fuck if, people want to run? It encourages people to play the game. Like,
yeah. I mean, I do think that we're probably not done with Valor caps. I think that this is like a now thing.
I agree, unfortunately.
Hopefully they listen, because a lot of people have been using their platforms to like, this shit is good. Like, uncapped Valor is fucking amazing.
Well, it's just funny. Like, we're all saying like, we want to play the fucking game. Like, don't like unnecessarily gate us. Like, once you hit Valor cap, it feels bad to do additional Mythic Plus or whatever on your character. Like, just, I don't want to have to switch.
I want to go do some fucking +2s as Ellie and just slam them real quick for some Valor.
Right.
And I'm sure the people whose keys I'm joining are fucking loving that. We're blowing through their +2s and +4s and.
Right. It's just like, it's fun. Like, this season this season is so much fun right now. Like, I feel like I can do anything. I can play a bunch of alts. Like, I just like, it feels good to just be able to play the way that I want to play at the moment. And I think part of that is because there's no Valor cap. Like, if I want to no life my single character, I should be able to do that. Like, or if I want to play a fuckload of alts and then other people want to piggyback off the bonus Valor for like my low score, that also encourages you playing together with your guild or doing low keys.
And it makes it not feel so bad. Like, Cheat just said he's got a rat for me, like we can play some rat keys later. Like, normally I'd be like, fuck no. Why? I'm not carrying your fucking shit garbage mage, right? But now it's like, 100%. Let's go, dude.
Yeah,
let's get your shit geared.
Give me all the sewer rats.
Something out of it, right? It feels good. It feels fun. And obviously that's a joke. Most people want to help their buddies anyway, so like they'll do that shit regardless. But it still feels better when you're getting something out of it.
Yeah.
And it feels better for you as the person that's like trying to gear this alt character that like, oh yeah, you guys are carrying me and helping me out, but you're getting some out of it too, so I don't feel so bad.
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully they're listening. Hopefully, Scar's art is giving feedback, because he seems to be active in the community. Like, he's always in the big streams listening to their feedback and stuff. And hopefully he's got the ear of some decision maker that is like, hey, everybody really likes this system. Like, maybe we shouldn't adjust it too much. And people like deterministic loot. It respects players' time, even if it's a large amount of time investment. It does,
Right.
I'm not saying you run one boss, you just get to pick whatever item, like that's not what anybody's saying.
Because what the thing is like, you could even put a blanket over it to where it's like, it's not a soft cap. You could put a soft cap on it and people would still not be as bad. Like, you wouldn't feel punished for doing that content anymore because you're getting something at least, but
Yeah.
you wouldn't feel like you needed to because it's like, oh well, I'm generating this resource at half value now, but so if I don't want to play, if I don't want to do this thing, I don't feel bad if I bow out for the week
Yeah,
or
right.
something. But at least I'm enjoying this content. I want to do it and I want to get that little bit of edge. I can.
Yeah.
It's still there, you know.
I think Thunder said it best too, is like, even for low key runners, like you get a drop and a +2. Well, like it doesn't feel so bad to upgrade it all the way now, because
Right?
you
Yeah.
can just get more
Yeah.
Valor. Like,
Yeah.
there's a reason to go try to farm loot in low keys. You know, you can be more efficient almost to an extent.
That's kind of what I want to do. With I'm trying to get some enhancement stuff for my shaman.
Yeah.
It's like been doing +2s. I'm like, it's gonna kind of suck if I get a weapon, but I'm like, whatever.
Right.
I'm
Yeah, 'cause-
also farming Valor. I could probably upgrade it
yeah.
at some point.
So yeah, I guess, you know, to wrap this point up, like big like on upgrade currency, Valor being uncapped, dinars. I think all those things are leading to what is making this season feel so fun, number one.
Mhm.
And I think it can be something that they can look to carry forward in the next, you know, in the season 1 for Dragonlands and then beyond. Especially with this being a, you know, soft reset of WoW. Why not bring in these new systems that people seem to like and make it, you know, this is the new era. Uncapped Valor, deterministic loot currency. Like, this is our system that we're going forward with.
Especially considering that they've tried it now, it works out, and people are fucking loving it. So keep it forward until it doesn't work anymore.
Mhm.
Once it doesn't work anymore, like, I feel like it's also a gate that they've opened that it's like, dude, if you shut this fucking gate now, I don't think people are gonna be happy. Like, you opened it.
Yeah.
People fucking love it. Like,
Yeah. You can't put everything back into the box now.
yep, Pandora's box has been opened.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 14 doesn't well and spoiled by it. Yeah, I haven't played enough 14 raid content to really know how their loot is done. I do know that they have a token system though that like eventually, Jesus, Thunder. I do know that they have a system that eventually if you didn't get drops that you wanted, you could just pick a piece from the raid and like eventually fill out your like BIS list, which is good. So it's very similar to kind of what I think the dinar system is.
Yep.
All right. So that's those are like the raid changes and a little bit of Mythic Plus. Going more into this season's Mythic Plus, how you liking the affix?
The affix is kind of whatever. It's pretty lowly intrusive, except higher the keys go up, Zolgamux is fucking rough. And sleep puddles need to go on top of rugs.
Yes, please.
So bad. So bad. The front, now that they fixed the frontal, like the animation is a lot better. That's a lot better now.
Yeah. You like any affix that seems passive?
Kind of. Zolgamux is a little intrusive, but still not terrible.
Yeah, we did a 22 junk cheat, myself, a couple other people from the guild, and Zolgamux took forever. It almost feels.
That was streets, wasn't it?
We did a 22 junk. We did a 20 streets.
Yeah, but the streets is what took forever, wasn't it?
I was talking about last night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The 22 Zolgamux. I mean, the 20 streets that we did, he also took forever. But it feels like getting into mid 20s keys. It definitely feels like he may be worth skipping for time, because like the amount of stacks you get, like you could just pull a couple extra infiltrators that you skip and just pull them into packs and like possibly almost break even and still save time.
I will say, like, the streets that we did where it took forever, and we just like a lot of that was we had some deaths throughout the fight, but also we totally should have lusted that shit. Like that was
Yeah.
lust worthy for sure. So I think just the fact that it was lust worthy, maybe a little too overtuned.
Yeah.
Just because of like how much he ends up scaling with the key level.
Right. Yeah. So I think maybe, and to Spooky's point, I've been seeing a bunch of higher key groups just skip him altogether too, either invis pod him past him or like because it's not like the higher your key goes, he gives you more stacks. I could see him being worth the time if he's like, okay, the stacks that you get also scale with the key, because then it makes his health pool going up more worth it. Whereas the time taken to kill him continues to scale infinitely with key level, but your reward doesn't scale at the same rate. So
exactly, it just takes so long.
yeah.
I also the one thing that I will say about this affix, even just like the normal infiltrators, I it feels really bad pulling two or more, and it also feels bad pulling even one into an already big pull.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it gets a little too intrusive with how much you can pull because it's just those abilities are so much going on.
Yeah.
It's not even that much going on, but like I think part of it is that they heal. So if you have two into a pull or you have one into a big pull and you're not really focusing it well, it's just healing so much over the course, like, and I think it just kind of snowballs to end up taking forever.
Yeah. Yeah, overall though, I think it's a good affix. I think it's fun to get to mess with the different stats, and I mean verse almost feels necessary at like 20 and above, just for the extra DR. But like in lower keys, I take haste on my shaman, and like 3/4 of the way through the dungeons, like I'm like GCD capped. It's so much fun. Like I'm just like like I get like a hot hand proc, and I'm just like slamming lava lash infinitely. It's so much fun. So from that standpoint, I think like the affix is pretty cool. That it actually feels impactful as you progress through the dungeon. It does when you're chain pulling and chain running mythic pluses, though. It does give you a little bit of whiplash. Like I just finished,
it's kind of like a Torghast a little bit, where it's like, oh, I'm super powerful, and then fuck, I'm a little bitch now.
Yeah, right. And then you like go start the next dungeon, and you like get into that first pack, and you're like, oh wait, like my rotation's completely different. Hold on, let me like mentally reset real quick. But I think it is cool, especially if you take like mastery or crit, and you just like crit every hit is like really cool. So overall I like it. I do think I think Zolgamux is tuned a little high for higher keys. So
I overall like the affix. I think it's a little more intrusive than I would want it to be, overall, but not by a lot.
It does fit the kiss curse thing a little bit that we talked about, though. Like
but that's what I mean is the curse is a little too heavy at the moment.
But I mean, as an affix, deal with the affix, get a positive outcome. Like
right, but that's not the only. You're also dealing with three other affixes. That's
no, I get. I'm with you. I'm just like I do from that standpoint. Like it is at least it's interactive. It doesn't feel bad. Like oh fuck, it's shrouded all season. Like so it's been fun. I just tune down Zolgamux just slightly so that he's worth killing. That's my only real complaint. I know you talked about rugs, so old dungeon. How do you feel about Kara, Mechagon, and Grimrail Iron Docks coming back?
So after we go through this, I have a big point about how Dragonlands is going to handle their Mythic Plus, but Lower Kara fucking sucks. It is so stressful as a healer, especially.
Yeah.
It's just everything is so fucking punishing. They've made some fixes over the course of 2 weeks, which is great, but they're not done yet. So we're almost 3 weeks in, and it still needs to be fixed more. Upper Kara, same thing. It's over the course of the 2 weeks, it's been fixed. That one I think has landed in a much better spot now. But my major point still stands that it's 3 weeks in and now it's in a good spot, right?
Yeah.
And then Grimrail was just a fucking mistake.
Well, that was the community voted one, right?
I know.
Why? Why?
Know. I don't know.
Like, why?
Everbloom, dude.
Yeah.
Everbloom was on that list, and we picked Grimrail. The fuck, man.
Well, first of all, Everbloom is a phenomenal dungeon.
Yeah.
But the water boss is one of my favorite bosses, the tree boss.
Yeah.
Where you have to soak the tree to keep him in the damage amp for longer. Like, I love that boss. But yeah, Upper Kara is fine-ish. I think the worm is still a little overtuned.
I was about to say, you haven't fucking healed it, man.
Yeah, I've seen you heal it, and I know. But overall, I think upper's more manageable than lower. I do wish that they would have maybe changed Huntsman, like the way that the debuff works, because it feels mandatory that everybody needs that weak aura for the curse.
Yeah, well, no, they don't now. They fixed that before the weak aura came up. Like, you could see the ghost finally.
Yeah.
Like, they fixed it. You can see the ghost now. You don't need the weak aura. The weak aura just makes it easier. But it's not needed anymore.
I still have problems seeing it, especially.
It would have been necessary before, because the ghost was like, it would flash, and then you just wouldn't see it for like 5 seconds at a time, and it would just like flash on the person real quick. When it's supposed to like stay up like a big fucking, you can't miss it if you're looking.
My real issue with it is that with the Covenants, and like you get a couple Kyrian playing Bronn, and now you're standing inside like 4 bronze and then all the other characters, and then like you just get like you get engulfed and you can't see anything. Yeah, so
yeah, when there's so much clutter, it's still really hard to see and like see who it's on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it gets lost, but it's still literally fixed because it actually shows up now.
Yeah,
that's my point. It just wasn't showing at all. Like, it was not visible before.
Yeah, it's still a shitty mechanic, but it's operating properly.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a shitty mechanic, but it's operating properly. It is fixed.
Working as intended, as Blizzard would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of agree. As much as I love Kara, like the original, and then didn't love the Super Dungeon re-release in Legion as much, I still think they're fun. I like that lower Kara's got some routing choices that you can make. You can do the death skip if you want to do that after Opera, or you can go, the traditional route. I think it's a cool dungeon. I just think it's got some A, dated mechanics, and then B, some issues with tuning. I think Mechagon's great.
Mechagon's current enough. To make sense. I still think Workshop last boss, some of the shit is overtuned as fuck.
Yeah. The magnet's weird too.
Yeah, the magnet's weird. So my point is there's broken shit on the dungeons that just came back, which there's always going to be. So
yeah,
we've gotten to play broken versions of all of these dungeons except for Tazavesh for the past. And then Junkyard is broken, but in a positive way, where we can just crank through that shit.
Did you see that the Zap bots won't scale above 30?
Above 30.
They stop scaling at 30.
Yeah. Well, it's like a 30 is that shit's already cranked, and it's like people aren't even 304 yet.
Right. I just think it's funny that like that's the break point when like less than like 5% of the population will do 30s. Like, but they're like, this is where we have to stop the scaling. It's not at like a 20.
So Drew, that's my point though, is Tazavesh was broken at the beginning of last season, and they iterated on it over a few weeks, and it got to the position it is now where it's It's in a good spot. It's a fun dungeon to play.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we got that too. But like those are the only two good dungeons to play this season for the past couple weeks. Like everything else, I mean, obviously it was doable because we did them all, right? But like none of them have been great to play. Like Iron Docks, fuck that shit on Fortified, dude. That is so frustrating.
Yeah.
Like I healed that. The bleeds that go out are absurd. And then on the tie week before that, it's like people are getting one shot by the wolf. It's like, okay, this is fucking fun.
Yeah.
It's like it's just ridiculous. Um,
They've been
just
addressing
like
most of the issues pretty quickly, though.
they have, but real quick before we dive any deeper on that, this is why I'm scared to have a brand new full dungeon pool every season for Dragonflight. That is a mistake.
Yeah.
This is gonna happen every single season. Shit is gonna be broken, busted for the first 3 weeks. Like that's not fun. We're not gonna have any dungeons that we know are at least like tuned decently. None
Well,
of them are gonna be complete at the beginning of the season
right.
ever. Like
Well, and as they cycle and yeah, Drew, there's only two people basically working on this patch. It's Skarzard and somebody else.
that's a fair point, but it happens every time something new is implemented into the pool.
Well, and to your point, Hack, so like by the time this season's over, all the issues will be worked out, right?
Exactly.
So now we go into Dragonflight and we get 8 new dungeons. Then they take 4 of those out of the pool, bring back 4 old dungeons that have not been getting iterated on for the last 3 months. And now we introduce those. So now they're fixing the newly introduced dungeons, at least the 4 that are keep staying.
Yeah.
And then
they're going to get fixed. They're going to be in a good position.
Sure.
Yeah.
But now they have to fix 4 more dungeons instead of just working on the 8.
We're getting rid of them.
Right.
And then we're taking them out of the pool.
Yeah. They should just work on the 8 that they're releasing with Dragonlands, release those as the Mythic Plus dungeons, know that they're fixed, and then in season 2, you release 4 new like you just did, and then we'll just deal with the issues like we're always going to inevitably have to deal
at least
with.
we have four olds that are already fixed that we can play. That at least feel fun while we're Mythic Plusing with our friends. I just don't.
Spooky. That's fine if they can do it within the season, but they're going to be rotating.
That's still an issue.
They're going to be rotating 4 new every single time. So by the time they fix them, we're always going to be then getting 4 dungeons with new issues again. Like I don't know. Maybe they can do a better job on PTR and hopefully identify some of this stuff.
Yeah, and like that's not my point, and I'm not shouldn't like, and it's honestly not that big of a deal. Like I'm making it I'm blowing it out of proportion for sure, but just to make the point that like, they're gonna tune these 8 dungeons in Dragonflight over the course of the season. So even if they get them all done and in a perfect position within the first 3 weeks, that's still like those 3 weeks at the very beginning of the season, like it's just going to be iteration and none of this shit matters and it's going to be hard or it's going to be broken and it's going to be unfair or whatever. It's like not going to be fun to play at the beginning of the season when, that's like we're excited for the new shit. First season, that's whatever because we're also going to have expansion issues, I'm sure. But then once that gets in a good state, we get to play it for the rest of the season. But then when season 2 comes out and we have all new dungeons, another 8 new dungeons that are not tuned and, iterated upon for Mythic Plus, we're just sitting around for another 3-4 weeks while this shit gets fixed. Like, that's my point. Like, it's the worst time for the shit to be broken, too, and have nothing fun to play is at the beginning of a new season.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
I think, Drew, the idea to have the community blacklist 2 dungeons, I think that was one of their initial thoughts when they said, like, we're going to watch play rates and kind of cycle out the things that people give feedback on is not fun. And then while it's basically not in the rotation, they can work on adjusting it and making changes and then reintroduce it when they cycle it back in. Like that, I'm all on board with that part of the idea, where they could like iterate on it when it's not live and then bring it back in a new form. It's just the problem is that if you're giving us new stuff every season, we're burning the first 2 or 3 or 4 weeks of every season to do issue fixing. Again,
Yeah.
it's probably going to be different because there'll be a larger team. There'll be a longer PTR cycle. It's not a throwaway season.
Yeah, but they also had the whole team on it whenever Tazavesh was implemented
that's
into the
true.
pool, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's always going to happen when new dungeons hit Mythic Plus. I mean, hell, it happened at over the course of all of Shadowlands. Necrotic Wake was still getting fixes. Theater of Pain was still getting nerfs and fixes. Like, dungeons got iterated on over the course of the entire season. So, or the entire 2 years that we've had them. So just having a whole new dungeon set for each season, I think, is problematic. Whereas, give us all 8, take out the 2 that are like the biggest stinkers, and then give us 2 new ones for season 2. And at least like you can work on them and get them out of the pool for that time being.
Yeah.
Like, because they're all gonna have issues. Like even the 8 new Dragonflight dungeons, they're gonna have issues. They're gonna need to be iterated on.
Yeah. I will say, I think part of the fun for this season, though, is the fact that we've gotten 4, quote unquote, new dungeons, because it's just like a refresher. So I think the idea of the rotating map pool is a good one. It's just, I just disagree with the implementation in season 1 of.
Oh, no. And I think it's a great idea. I just don't think it should be every season.
Yeah.
Like, even this season, we still have the 2 constants. Like, Tazavesh is still a constant from last season.
Yeah.
There's still some familiarity there that we can, like, okay, we can breathe, we can just chill and do this key at, like, a high level.
That we already know.
Yeah, and we're chilling. And that's a nice break. Like, I don't think I would be having nearly as much fun this season if not for being able to just take a break and do a Streets or a Gambit here and there. Because I guess dungeons can be so frustrating.
Season 3, though,
state.
Season 3 for Dragonlands would be the reintroduction of the season 1 4 dungeons, theoretically. So, like, we would get the return of those dungeons for season 3 if they do the 4 and 4 thing. So, like, we would have familiar dungeons for season 3 then.
Yeah.
So, after they, bring them out of the Mythic Plus pool to do adjustments or whatever. So at least season 3, then you're getting that, like, okay, we probably know these 4 dungeons are coming back that we did in season 1. It's been long enough. They've made some changes, but at least we, for the most part, know the dungeon, know the routes, all that stuff.
Yeah.
You think we're going to see shorter seasons in Dragonflight? It's possible.
What if those were the 4 worst of the Dragonflight? Like, right? There's just so much, man. It just makes it so, like, just give us all the new shit, take out the stinkers, work on them, bring them back later. Like,
right.
We don't need a whole new list of dungeons to run every season. That's not why we're getting burnt out. Just give us something new every season. It doesn't have to be, doesn't have to be a whole new wheel every time.
Yeah.
It just has to be something.
Yeah.
A little bit of change.
I'm with you. I think we're in lockstep. I think a lot of the community is saying the same thing too. I don't know if they're listening. What if they're more on clockwork like Diablo? Like, yeah.
No, I mean, they're not gonna do that because they're gonna keep seasons tied to raid tiers, and they're not gonna pump raid tiers out quicker.
Yeah. Also, that's spooky, and I think we're getting some of that with more account bound stuff and no systems to grind out on every new character and legendaries to craft. Like, you just basically level and set your talent points, and now all you have to do is go get gear. Like, I think that will help with burnout a lot.
I mean, and there does need to be some introduction of content because we're gonna burn out after 3 seasons of the same dungeon pool.
Well, I imagine
every time, like, it's gonna happen.
We'll get another mega dungeon.
I love that they're willing to do this too. I just don't go overboard with it. Like, okay, we're trying it out this season. Why are we committed to doing this before this season 4 experimentation came out?
Yeah, right.
Like, why is it already so? This is what we're doing. Like, I don't know. Take a breath, see how it feels, right? Which it's feeling great. Like it's fun.
I don't mind the tax so much, Spooky. The like 75% of a currency for 100% of the cost on the alt. That doesn't bother me so much, and we're not going to have as much of that. Like because there's no systems being introduced, so you're just having to worry about gear for the most part. Get him, Piggy. Get him. So I have Raider IO. I've had it pulled up the entire time we've been talking. I just wanted to kind of go over class balance stuff for Mythic Plus, how you think kind of everything is sitting right now. Anything that you've seen that you really like that maybe like off the beaten path, off meta type stuff. I think Destro and Survival are still kind of way up there.
Demo even Warlock.
Demo's
much.
good. I mean, Holy Priest is still king of the healers, but it is
Not
pretty close. It's not by much.
Not by as much anymore.
Yeah.
Because like without the buff, priests aren't getting their shit back as much.
Right.
The boon. Whereas
I think the biggest thing that I've been surprised with is that outside of like the top end keys, that's all just blood and prot. I am surprised to see as much prot as I've seen in the top.
Well, Prot Warrior is busted as fuck.
Prot Pally, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I am surprised that in general, Prot Pally and Prot Warrior are out percentaging blood.
Mm-hmm. Well, Prot Warrior is like a lot of top end are talking about how it's possibly the best right now. Like this thing, Prot Warrior's a monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it already did so much damage already, and it just needs to be good. So now that it's good.
Also, some of those spell reflects you can do in Kara are just like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Yeah, this season lends itself really well to Prot Warrior kit.
Spooky had a survival hunter hit 200k in a dungeon and average 30k on bosses. That's awesome.
Unfortunately, Drew, like the reason Warrior's good right now has nothing to do with gear scaling. They had to finally just buff it enough to where it can survive magic damage.
Yeah.
But also, like Rain just pointed out, like in Karazhan, they can do so much shit with spell reflect.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So just the current dungeon pool really lends to what Prot Warrior can do.
I am glad we talked a little bit that like I think on one of the first podcasts that Destro and Survival were getting nerfs, but I'm glad that they didn't take the normal Blizzard route of like tuning with a sledgehammer. They have brought it down. It's still really good, but it's not oppressive. Like you see some other stuff. I mean, don't ignore this number 4 streets that was 3 survival hunters. But
I think even Survival is in a better spot from the nerfs just because they got compensated for it
with the single target buffs
and maintained their play style.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a play style nerf. It wasn't a fun nerf.
Yeah.
As in, like, they didn't nerf the fun of it. Whereas, like, Destro, their fun kind of got nerfed pretty bad. Like,
yeah.
So I think Destro took more of a sledgehammer.
I do think, though, like, it's still really strong. Like, they still do good numbers. I wonder if that's a product of the smaller team. So it's, it's easier for one person to be making tuning decisions, basically, or 2 people to be making tuning decisions rather than I have to go to the Druid team, I have to go to the Mage team, and like we have to have a discussion about what the tuning is going to be from each team individually, where like this is like, all right, I'm just going to tune the way that I want to tune, and we're going to make these like smaller tweaks. Less cooks in the kitchen, basically. Spooky, exactly. So
makes sense.
Again, good lessons. I think season 4, the theme of season 4 is good lessons for Blizzard to bring forward. Smaller tweaks, you can make them more often until it, like stuff gets in line. But I do think it's cool that we've seen a bunch of Fire Mage pop back up in the top of the Mythic Plus charts here again. I mean, it is Zyro, so like he's really good at Fire Mage, but it is
Well,
cool.
I think people started getting hyped because of Hyper Thread wrist wraps, like
Coming back, yeah.
Workshop being back in the pool, so it's like,
Right.
oh fuck yeah. I don't even know if they're good now, but I would only assume that they are.
I think they're still BIS for Fire.
Yeah, I would assume.
But yeah, I think this season class balancing wise has been really good. Especially the surprising like evenness to tanks. I mean, Brew is kind of shitty, and you don't see a lot of Guardian, even though I think Guardian is actually okay.
Brew definitely isn't shitty. They're in a really good spot.
Sorry, shitty percentage wise, not actual like performance
That's just
wise.
Monk in general.
Yeah.
Monk just has shitty play percentage.
Yeah.
Across the board.
I think with like Windwalker, like they're super strong. I just don't think that like Bone Dust Brew is a very fun play style.
Yeah, I haven't played it enough to.
You basically you throw Bone Dust Brew down, and if you get Chi-Ji resets, you do 1,000,000 damage, and if you get no Chi-Ji resets, you do 0 damage. And that's the whole Monk play style right now, especially in Mythic Plus.
Just spam and spinning Crane Cake open for procs.
Yep. It's just Crane as much as possible. So yeah, again, season's been crazy. I do want to pull this up real quick and just I gotta keep scrolling because I'm all zoomed in. That's the wrong one. That's just Alliance side. That's our very own Mr. Hakkd Gaming at #1 on our servers, our very, very small servers IO rankings as the #1 shaman. And then there I am at number 3, pulling up the rear, but closing in.
Gaunt is still beating you.
Gaunt is still beating me. I'm only 26 behind, so I can make that up this week if I can get a couple big upgrades on like upper, if we do an upper, and Grimrail I could use a big upgrade on. But the shaman simps representing well on the server.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Dude, like pretty much all of us are cranking. Like even people who don't push Mythic Plus a lot, like they definitely pushed quick. So like our guild is fucking cranking score this season.
Yeah. I don't know. How do you see guild? Does this work?
Yeah, you can just click on one of us and you can click on the guild tag. Click on Might and then
there we go.
Mythic Plus drop down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, look at all this score. Cheat at 2369, nice. Then there's you, Hakkd at 2. Think 4 of us are close to top 10. No, don't look at this. There's Disc and Silver, myself, Bay, Rad. Rad's got 2 characters that are...
He's pulling on me this season.
Yeah, he's got one at 2192 and then his Demon Hunter at 1791. So he's been playing a fuckload on both. I mean, Mist is the same way. Mist has 2 KSM characters already.
Yep.
So yeah, the guild has been, it's been really fun. I think that's the other thing that's like leading to how fun this season is like everybody's on doing Mythic Plus.
And everybody's just enjoying themselves, which,
Yeah. But I think it's cool. Like
having fun is more fun too. Like
Mist in the past, like Mist was like, I'm just going to, crank out some 15s for my weekly. But like even Mist has been like pushing into like the 20 or the upper teens and like doing some stuff like that, which I think is cool. So even people who don't normally participate in like the higher end keys are participating.
That's what I was
getting at. Yeah. What's the realm look like, Cheat, overall?
That one I can never find it.
Overall ranks, all classes and roles. Cheat is #1 on the realm. That's why you wanted me to pull this up. Yeah, Cheat is #1 overall on the realm. No, I don't think I clicked Alliance. Did I click Alliance? Maybe I did. Let me go back. all overall ranks, all classes and roles, realm. Yeah, that's alliance. Is this one? This is all. Oh wait, this is just showing us,
It's
or is lane not included? I see people who aren't part of
well,
the
go
guild.
to the top. There's a go back up to the top. I think there's a
Okay.
drop down on the right.
All
the top.
factions.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I mean, I definitely see people who are not.
I was about to say that's all us, and I mean Gonthus would be right under me, right? So
Yeah.
it's definitely weird.
Cheat sent me a link. Let's see. There we go. I don't know why mine was filtering weird. Okay. Ragonia. Number 1. Cheat still number 2. Hacked at 7.
Oh, I'm gonna have to pump those numbers up.
Disc at 8. Ashrand at 10. Silver at 11. There's Gonthus at 12. There's me at 15. Bay at 19, and Rad closing out the top 20.
Let's go.
I like to see it. I love to see that.
Gonthus at number 12, like a little bit.
You're smoking him. You're 5 spots ahead. So glad your week off is next week. Let's see. There's Spooky, top 25. Mist, top 30. Blood, top 30. Hell yeah. Yeah, that's your point. Lots of people doing some stuff that they don't normally do, which is awesome to see. So
yeah, it's cool.
Basically half the top 30 is us, yeah. So that's kind of really all I had for this episode. I'm just really happy with the season overall. I think Blizzard can take a lot of lessons and make Dragonflight something that we're gonna like really want to continue to play, even without the additional systems.
Yep. Just let us play.
Yeah, that's basically the rallying cry. Let us play.
Yeah. Let us keep playing. I think that's the biggest takeaway from this season so far.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, Hacked, thank you for joining me. And let us play. Like the topping. Lettuce. Yeah, lettuce.
Yeah. Let us play.
My favorite type of play, lettuce. But yeah, thanks for coming on again, as always. I now have a content backup for YouTube, so everybody who's watching the Shaman podcast, albeit out of date now for the talents, will be up hopefully this week, and then I'm gonna try to get this one out a couple days later and not wait multiple weeks like I did for the last one. But yeah, thanks everybody for being here as always and hanging out, and probably start talking some more like class and spec trees as things get more finalized. So we'll probably have some special guests in the works for some of the other classes. But until next time, I appreciate y'all being here, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.
Peace out.